down and they have bills now and life sucks.
Yeah.
So now now you're okay.
Like, you're the only one that comes in and like, oh, yeah.
Dude, this is a comfortable couch.
That whole thing, I was obsessed with girls like this.
Yeah.
And they all looked at me like I was dirt, and I loved it.
Are you troubled by strange thoughts in the middle of the night? Do you experience feelings of dread throughout your daily life? Have you or any member of your family seen things that you couldn't explain? If the answer is yes, then don't waste another minute. Go to onlinetherapy.com and speak to the professionals. Onlinetherapy.com. Their courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve your mental health issues. We're ready to believe you. Onlinetherapy.com is tailor-made to you. You take a brief questionnaire and it asks you questions like, what are you suffering from? And then gives you an entire list of options. They even do couples therapy, and you also choose how you do therapy. Whether on the phone, video calls, texting, you make it convenient for you. Much like your favorite blanket, it's comforting to know that onlinetherapy.com is always there for you with on-demand 24-hour unlimited texting. So, you get matched with a therapist that specializes in how to help your specific issues. An online journal to write down all of your thoughts and progress, and now they also just released a yoga benefit as part of their therapy. Click the link below and get 20% off your first month on therapy, okay? That's the link below, onlinetherapy.com. Check it out. Make yourself a little bit better in the brain.
Like, so she had the dark lipstick, the A-line dress.
Hackers.
Kind of that hacker
Angelina
look.
Jolie and hackers.
But like, more of the earthy, like the scene the way it was in 1990 kind of thing.
I mean, what is that? That's like, was that mod look? No, it's like cyberpunky.
Well, no. It was actually a lot more like it was what what alternative was before it got so overused.
Well, that's how it comes back now. It came back as a brand now, right?
Yes.
It wasn't an idea. Back then it was an idea. It's like how punk became a brand.
Well, it was the scene. Like, at that time, the scene, the alternative scene was, like, legit. And, nobody who knew who fucking Smashing Pumpkins were. Nobody knew who fucking Nirvana was until Nevermind dropped and Smells Like Teen Spirit.
No, because Nirvana, the self-titled album, didn't do well. Or it did okay, but it didn't blow up the scene.
Can
you just hand me those tissues, dude? I'm sorry.
And that's like the grunge era.
I'm just gonna jerk off.
The grunge end of alternative, but alternative was like actually this really big fucking thing, and it was like skaters and BMX
it's the most
guys.
Teenager thing I've ever seen. Like, it is.
Right. Well, it's the last.
But it's also like one of those things where I'm like, everything that everybody identified with at that time. It encompassed so many things.
We were all still called freaks and everything. I think it was the last subculture that really was a counterculture.
Yeah.
At that time, it was a counterculture.
In the sense of like what the hippie movement was supposed to be, and shit like that.
In a way, because it was like an echo to the hippie movement.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, a lot of
because when Earth Day started back up in the late '80s.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it was like
Live Aid.
Shit like that. People who vibed into that and were into, Butthole Surfers.
I always reference
Dead
them.
Milkmen.
I always say
Violent
that
Femmes.
90s bands had like the best band names ever.
Most
the
of
weirdest
these started in the late '80s though, because even like the Chili Peppers, people didn't know. Like, the Blood Sugar Sex Magic was what
was that, 88? 89?
Blood Sugar Sex Magic
Or was that 90?
90, 91.
Blood Sugar Sex Magic is
was huge, and I mean, it changed.
I'm about to get the quarter. Yeah, I love that shit.
Because my friends and I, we actually were, the band that I was in, we were trying to do...
What was your band name?
Family Jewels.
Nice. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And,
I just had to know. I want a t-shirt with that.
we did a Chili's... We did a take on the Chili's take on Higher Ground.
The movie?
No, the Stevie Wonder song.
Oh, okay. Chris, are we recording? Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Keep going. Wait, you did a cover of Stevie Wonder?
Well, we were trying to do... They did a cover of Stevie Wonder. We were trying to do a cover of them. But then we got focused on other things. Like, we did... For the first show that we did Man in the Box by Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
We did... Jerry Was a Race Car Driver. What else did we do? Oh, we did Alive by Pearl Jam.
I was just listening to that. It's fun. It's so funny. The last like week, 2 weeks, I've been listening to like on Spotify, I've just been listening to a 90s alternate play. Like anytime I get in the car, I just hit play wherever I left off.
Right.
A lot of songs I didn't realize came out of the 90s that I thought were like 2000-y, but they're like 97, 98, 99.
Yeah.
Which, like, the 90s really held in there up until that ball dropped. When they were like, now we're in space, it's 2000, everybody's wearing silver.
The computers didn't all shut down. Yeah, because that was but yeah, that late 80s into the 90s, because it was glam. It was arena rock. It was fucking Warrant.
But that died out in
Poison.
like 92, right? With like
before that, it died out because of the Janie Lane. I once saw an interview with him, the lead singer of Warrant, where he was like,
Janie Lane. Please bring up a picture of Janie Lane.
We did this like
before and after, please.
He was talking about like, we went on tour for Cherry Pie, and it was like the #1 song, and we went out on tour, and when we left, behind the receptionist's desk at their record company was a giant poster of the album cover.
The legs.
Of Cherry Pie. I can't remember.
I think it's
exactly
the legs.
Yo! Oh, wow, he looks horrible.
God damn, remembering Jay. Oh, that's right, he died.
Oh, shit.
He was on... This dude was he's kind of a creepy looking regular. When he was supposed to... I guess that's him young and hot. It's a little weird looking.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got the hair. That's what it is. The hair.
And listen, he has a great voice. And
one eye is lower than the other.
They were fun songs.
Cherry Pie. But name me two other war. Never mind. I'm not gonna you.
But when they came back, they went to their record company, and behind the receptionist's desk was a giant fucking Nevermind. A poster of the cover to Nevermind.
So that was 91, 90?
This is like 99, 91. It would be 91.
And they were just finished their tour for that album.
Right. They'd come off the tour, and they went back to their record company and were like, oh shit, things change.
But like things, maybe with music, like the way that the trends change, it almost does seem like day and night.
Well, everything's a reaction off of.
Oh, real quick.
Things.
This is Millennial Stoner. My guest is Andy Plagainos. Welcome. You haven't been on a little bit. He's coming back. We're just gonna talk bullshit.
It's kind of a 90s.
Yeah.
Some the things we're probably gonna talk about.
The name of this episode's called Nevermind.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming back on, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
But music always comes up with you and me anyway. It's one of my favorite subjects.
Well, and see, subcultures, like you have pop culture, right? Out of pop culture, what's happening at the same time as pop culture are these subcultures.
Okay.
Right? And in my day, there was a hip-hop subculture, there was an alternative subculture, and any subculture ends up being sucked into pop culture because we get old. The members of that subculture get old, and we become pop cult, part of the pop culture, part of the mass, the mainstream.
I think when you're young, you're also really convinced that like this is going to be forever. Like certain things, not like I'm going to be young forever, but this is going to last. Like this.
Well, what the thing that's going to last?
Like there was somebody years ago that was
fuck
like
my parents. Shit. Is most of the time, most of the subcultures are.
The fuck my parents shit's not around anymore.
Well, it is, but I don't see it, and maybe it's just because I'm older. And my kids aren't old enough.
But you weren't like young, but I definitely grew up in an era where it was like kids take over, kids lock your parents in the basement, throw a party. Like
that was when I was a teenager. That shit was starting to we were.
Didn't Will Smith did that song? There's no need to argue. Parents just don't understand.
Well, I was in 6th grade when that came out, but yes, I was during that transitional period, the end of Gen X and the beginning of the Millennial generation. Yeah. That's what we were experiencing. But I was enough of a teenager and older to be able to go, this shit's stupid.
Huh.
Because everybody thinks that about everybody else's subculture. Oh, that's so stupid. But things get assimilated, and that's why there's retro. There'll be retro things.
Forever.
Because we were saying earlier is that the alternative shit I was into was a reaction, was an echo of the hippie movement.
Yeah.
It was like
the alt movement, the alternative movement in the 90s. Yeah,
was late 80s. Like it cannot be stressed enough that the late 80s was absolutely a part of it. I'd say
it was very underground at that time,
and it was. But 87
right?
to let's say 95 is
Chris, bring up some pictures. Just put in like alt scene 90s or like alt scene 80s. Like see if there's some photographs from
Well,
that
you have
era.
like Talking Heads, you had the Punks, you had like because that's the alternative.
Well,
movement
wasn't
that I was a part
Talking
of.
Heads more like what was that style, mod style or
That
whatever?
was mod, but it was punk adjacent.
Okay.
Because they were breaking all sorts of conventions and whatnot, and that's what punk's all about. It's about
It's about breaking. Yeah, it's about rebellion. It's about
And
so is rock and roll. Rock and roll in general is about
and all subcultures are rebellions against
something.
whatever your parents were into.
Exactly.
Because like I would say that what I was a part of was the anti-80s me generation, like money,
the Reaganites or whatever.
and not to be political because it wasn't political at the time, but Trump, like it was a rejection of like things like and Trump. I mean, like his casinos and
The businessman.
champagne and limousines.
The
and
idea
all
of
this.
wealth was a big thing. I mean, that show. There was also that show, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Exactly.
It was something that people watched. Dallas was a show that was the number one
that
show
was
on
at,
TV
like,
in
the
the 80s.
beginning part of it, absolutely. The late 70s and into the early to mid 80s was very much about Spuds MacKenzie and you're supposed to party all the time and hook up and all this other shit. And all of a sudden, like, my part of the generation, my part of the subculture was like, is this okay? Like, I don't want stuff. I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Like, why? And none of us were happy, and then you had heroin come back.
Yeah. None of us were happy, so they were like, "Hey, heroin's back," and we're like, "All right, none of us are happy. Let's do heroin."
Well, that's what I think. Heroin
It's true.
is a great like way of being like, shit sucks, and this is how people escape.
Yeah.
And I think that when you have the spikes in heroin use are sort of these like
Low moments in society.
Well, I don't know about low. They're introspective moments. They're parts where it's like we're realizing we're as a whole, we're unhappy with what's happening.
Okay.
And we need that escape.
Yeah, I definitely sense that. I don't know, because like I said, growing up as a millennial, it was very much like I've said this before. It's like one day we woke up and we just had the internet. And that's because I always make the point of being like, oh, we were the last generation to play outside, which is not entirely true.
No, well, see, I hate those, because this is one of the things that you and I have talked about.
I don't know, but I'm not saying it whimsically. I'm saying we had. I mean it in a way like. Because video games rule. Like I don't know what to tell you.
Dude,
like,
we had Atari, we had Commodore 64s. Like we were playing games. There was gaming going on. NES came out when I was in 6th or 7th grade. So shit was being done.
Yeah.
But parents, and that's what I love. I love when fucking older people, like people my age, bitch about younger people.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we made this world. We're the ones who made this world. Us and the people before us.
Yeah.
So anything that these kids don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're just doing what we've given them to do.
Yeah.
So why are you angry? Be angry at yourself. And I always like to challenge, like, there is a comedian that I won't mention his name, but he'll complain about this stuff, and then he's got a son who's like about the same age as my daughter Charlotte, and I go, well, what do you do with your son then? Oh, well, he's like, he'll be complaining, oh, they're all on their phones and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, did your son have a phone? And he's like, yeah, but my wife, she may like. There's always these
little asterisks.
In your situation, it's okay, but if you want to be angry about somebody else's kid or angry about somebody else, you're gonna like ignore that. Put these blinders on and be like, no, I don't like that. But you're surrounded by it. Take away the blinders, and that's your life.
I think people would like to have something to complain about.
True, absolutely.
I genuinely believe,
and there's nothing wrong with that. But listen,
because there are certain, like, I definitely have those tendencies to say, like, not necessarily that things were better when I was a kid.
No, nostalgia.
Mainly, I'll say that about cartoons, but like,
but
I try to catch myself on that shit because it's not for me. A lot of the stuff that I'm complaining about. It was made when I was a kid. Of course, they're going to market it to kids now. The kids now aren't going to be in the same thing that I was in. Some of them are, and there's a lot of stuff that carried over, but not all of it. Well, so it's not made for me.
You guys, the millennials, are going through something we went through about 10, 15 years ago.
I point it out all the time.
Which is that, like, we were called slackers. Gen X was like the slacker generation. We were the first.
Yeah, there was a
slackers.
movie. Richard Linklater made a movie called Slacker
Slackers.
about your Clerks is yeah.
There are a lot of really good art, but
That's what you and I always say. Like there really is no difference in generation. A lot of it crosses over. It's just a different decade.
It's a demographic.
Yeah,
It's just a way to cut off. That's why when people complain about somebody who's my age or older complained about millennials, it was like we were the same. They called us the same. They said the same shit about us.
Yeah.
But see now, you guys are like on the adult side of things.
Yeah.
And now all the boomers and Gen Xers are going to are having to be like, well, millennials are okay. It's the Zoomers and the Alpha.
the Gen Z, yeah,
They're the assholes.
You just want something to complain about.
Because I remember the fucking boomers and the greatest generation and the silent generation were all like, yeah, these Gen X kids, they're just like us. And it was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
You guys were been fucking with us for like 10, 15 years now. Since like 1987.
It's like I always try to use the analogy, and this is just a weird way I look at it with the generations. It's like there's a car, right? There's a family car, and every generation is a sibling, right? And like it's like the country's the car, but every year it's a little more beat up. But you want that car. I want a chance to drive.
Well, I'll say that it's like it's as each generation ages.
It's a stupid comparison,
The
but
old, well, no, because the
Mine is.
older generation. Well, no, because I'm going to
Yeah.
tie it in.
Oh, okay.
The older generations see that younger generation is no longer young, and they've been beaten down, and they have bills now, and life sucks.
Yeah.
So now now you're okay. We're gonna hate young people.
That's why they don't like young
It's a
people.
hate of youth,
Yeah.
really,
because
truly.
you are not young,
right.
and you are not enjoying. I mean.
You have things that I want, I miss, and that's why
But
nostalgia.
a lot of people do things because it's like I'm always amazed by people that are like, I'm a free thinker, and I'm just like, so why did you do everything that society dictates that you do?
So
you know what I
here's
mean?
Where I'm a fan of Sam Harris and like talking about how free will's not a real thing. There's really only a finite amount of choices that we can make
Yeah, of course.
in every situation, and so writ large, most of us are making the same decisions, but we feel special.
Yeah,
Well, it came from my head.
yeah.
I came up with it, so now it's special to me. But it's like, no, dude, there's other people who are going through the same shit, and that's why we need to be nice to each other. You know, like I fucking hate having to say that.
I think the idea is like no one should have to be nice. I always like to say the idea you should try.
Yeah,
Try, because there's going to be a lot of instances where being
and
nice.
you can still complain about things.
Yeah.
There's still fucking so much shit without shitting on somebody else. There's so much stupid shit in the world.
Oh, there's a lot of stupid shit in the
To
world.
be able to be angry about.
Yeah.
That like and listen, like nostalgia. There's that joke that I tried the first time on the mic on Monday, and I tried it last night at the mic at Govs.
yeah.
Where it's like, the Energizer Bunny. Well, that like, there used to not be any liquor commercials, there were no condom commercials, and I remember as each of these walls fell down, how it was like a big deal. It was in the news like, tonight at 9 p.m. on MTV will be the first condom commercial ever shown on television. It was so lame too, and we all tuned in. Like it was like, I gotta be watching MTV at 9.
Do you think they were going to watch people fucking?
No, you just wanted to see like
That'd be wild.
like you wanted to see the condom commercial because
Why?
there had never been a condom.
I don't
commercial on
understand that. I
television.
really that's so dumb to me. I
Oh,
would
and
not.
it was just it was like a college couple sitting on a bench and not even directly next to each other.
I think I know the commercial you're talking about.
Because
Yeah.
they did use it for years afterwards.
But they also parodied it in so many things.
Oh yeah. And that's it's
When
so lame.
when it's time. There's also the one with the people running on the beach together, which is another one I saw all the time.
The Trojan ones were the least funny, the least.
Yeah, the Trojan ones try to be serious. I think there was just straight up ones where it's just like, this is Bill. Bill's got AIDS, like, or something like this. Like that was a big thing. Like, Chris, can you put the computer screen up? Nope.
Play Jeopardy now.
Yeah, we're gonna watch Jeopardy. But those condom commercials some of them were wild. But yeah, there was I remember one. I think it was Trojan that I remember just being like, "Don't want AIDS? Wear Trojan."
Well,
which is not people tell. That's not even telling people like, "Listen, we know you're gonna fuck something, right? So you might as well wrap it up."
So here's one of the few things, like playing outside is horseshit, drinking from hoses is horseshit. Here's a real thing that defines my generation.
Yeah.
We were brought up into
Is that
our
the-
sexuality.
Oh, it's the '80s alt scene.
Yeah.
That's the '90s alt
Yeah, that'd be
scene.
'90s. That looks like Ugly Kid Joe. Alice in Chains. All right, I see now. I need a
This
new
looks like the
prescription.
cover to every skate video I bought as a kid.
But being brought into our own sexuality with the specter of AIDS. Yeah,
That was the thing that you guys got to have fun with.
AIDS and
Yeah.
crack. Like
Yeah.
we it was like coming into it. It was because all of the movies and TV shows from previous generations that we were made to watch,
Yeah.
all had to do with like free love and all this other shit. And all of a sudden it was like, yeah, free love, except not you guys.
Yeah,
You guys can't because you'll die if you have sex.
yeah.
And you're like,
That was basically preached to us in high school. I mean, health class wasn't much better.
yeah, but AIDS had actually run its course in terms of like Magic Johnson had gotten it and
And
there
it
were
lived.
drugs. Yeah, no, that was a huge thing because for us it was like, oh wait, so it's cool to start fucking again. All right.
Yeah, there was sex was a big taboo for a while,
Yeah,
and now it's like I'm not. Listen,
I'm happy for.
if I
but my
I'm not
nostalgia-
saying it's overdone. Please don't change anything about Instagram. That's what I want to say. But like, there's so much sex now in things.
It's an actual sex, not just like a sex as it's represented. And
No, but there is both. It's
These are
I know
actually-
that picture. I've seen that picture before.
that's a Studio 54 or something like that. Or
no,
it's
that's in London, I think.
Yeah,
I've
but
seen
that-
this picture before. yeah.
78 to 87. Yeah, that was that. Like
This is the scene you're speaking of, right? Because
this-
it's not quite punk. It's not quite goth.
well, even there's suff that's
Is that
like
Susu?
immediately after Susie.
Susie Sue, right?
I think so.
That looks like Rosanna Dana.
But it's like I'll even say the stuff that was right after.
That's The Cure.
There you go. The Cure is probably
Never a
one
big
of the
Cure
greatest-
fan, but yeah, that's
no,
probably.
but they represent
Yeah.
like sort of what the alternative scene
Friday.
was. The Smiths.
Is that Weezer? What is that?
That's a British one.
It is a British. Okay.
But the Pixies, like all shit. Oh, there's a Young Ones in the bottom left-hand corner. Got the Young Ones, which was a great TV.
Yeah, it's a
show
British TV show.
on the BBC.
The bottom left was that.
There's a guy with like a denim vest on
You see it,
with
Chris?
the red spiky hair.
Oh, it's just taking a minute.
Rock and roll.
Never mind.
But
Oh, it's all right, man. It's fine.
but that's a good representation of the alt scene too, because
all those pictures definitely look like a '90s high school yearbook.
Well, but this is '80s. These are '80s.
Late '80s, though, right?
Mid late. But that was the
That's
scene.
where that shit. That's where the real design of MTV came from.
Yes,
I think
if you
it was
ta-
the
if
alt
you ta-
scene.
if
yeah.
you take all of it, 120 minutes. I've actually started watching. They have old 120-minute episodes on YouTube, and I've actually started watching.
Of what?
It was a show. Okay, it was a show on MTV
Back in,
on
like-
Sunday nights called 120 Minutes.
I've heard of this. I
So
don't
it was
remember
2
what the fuck
hours
it
of
is.
Only alt stuff. So it was the only place you were going to see the Cure regularly, or the Smiths regularly.
Was it just music
Or the
videos?
Pixies, or yeah. I mean, they had interviews. Downtown Julie Brown actually hosted it for a while.
Well, she was a
which
big MTV
weird.
personality, right?
She was, but she certainly was not a. She wasn't an alt. She was a club girl.
I know, but she was so hot.
They would dress her up in not hot clothes, like just in
Like-
cool, fashionable
What,
stuff.
like something with shoulder pads?
Well, this was a
We're gonna
little
give you a lot of
after the shoulder
pantsuits today, Julie. That's what you're gonna be wearing. This is the alt scene.
because that part of the alt subculture was anti that 80s.
Was there any
represent
like you said, like Julie Brown, like downtown Julie Brown, but she wasn't really a real representation? Was there somebody interview-wise? Because I grew up like a metal kid, and we had what's her name from Fuse, Mistress Julie, and she was like an interviewer. She knew all the bands, and she was a great interviewer, and she was a good representation of that
out of the VJs,
that sort of metal scene at that time. I was just curious if there was anybody.
The VJs, it wasn't. It
No
was
VJ?
actually when they got Tabitha Soren as part of the MTV News. She was an alt chick. And she was doing the, like, Kurt Loder was MTV News.
Yeah, he was Kurt Loder was everybody.
But they had expanded so much that they needed more on-screen people. Matt Pinnefield, who also hosted
I want to watch some of this. He did host at Headbangers Ball. Crossover, a lot of crossover.
Yeah, no, there was. That's because the subcultures were all too small and too weak to independently carry an entire music channel. Rockman.
That looks like the dude who has the highest score in Donkey Kong.
But he was like a puppy. Like he just was like in love with all of the metal.
Yeah, he was just happy to be there.
Yes.
Put in Mistress Julia. Put in Fuse Mistress Julia.
Because Singles is a good one.
Yep, that's her.
The one with Winona Ryder and Ethan Hawke.
This is why I had so many problems as a child. Yeah, she was awesome, but she was like,
well, we had Martha
this was
Quinn.
the original, but this is why my entire generation, I guarantee you, one of the main reasons why my entire generation is obsessed with big titty goth chicks. I am 100%. Look at that and Jennifer Tilly and Bride of Chucky. That whole thing, I was obsessed with girls like this. Yeah. And they all looked at me like I was dirt, and I loved it. And they still look at me like I'm dirt. But they are. This was a big, because she was in the VJ scene for like Fuse, and she knew a lot. Like, she's the reason I'm a massive Slipknot fan and everything like that.
See, now we had Martha Quinn, the girl next door.
Bring up Martha Quinn. Let's see whose VJ's hotter.
Yours.
Oh, no, I understand.
No, you don't even.
Oh my God, I'm right though.
No, she's beautiful. She was cute. She was
Where?
peppy.
Bring up a picture of her. She's got a haircut.
Well, that's the 80s.
She's got a lesbian bowl cut.
That's that is the Pat Benatar style.
She doesn't have the cool one like. Oh yeah, it's true. But Pat Benatar was. Ooh, mom haircut all day.
Well, it was before it was a mom haircut.
That looks like you just gotten a breakup haircut right there. It looks like you cut it yourself.
But she was loved by everyone.
And she was an MTV VJ?
Yes.
See, right there, right down there. I can do the Jamie Lee Curtis. That's a crazy picture. That's the guy from Wasp, isn't it?
No, that was David Lee Roth.
Oh, I turned off. I didn't get to see it for a second. Excuse me, I'm not a huge...
Well, again, where we are talking about...
I'm sorry, I sound so misogynistic.
We are talking about my period of my childhood I actually grew up through. So those people are like, I can pick them out of a lineup, but...
Yeah.
Now it sucks, like, not being able to... my daughters with, like, manga and anime, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Do you know... I mean, that's the Japanese comic books, right?
Well, manga is Japanese
or is
comic,
Korean,
and anime is the cartoons that are made from the manga.
Noelle, who's been on here before, loves that stuff.
And absolutely, I love being able to have Noelle as a resource.
Yes, because he actually points out a lot of interesting things to me about Asian culture that I didn't know.
Well, for me, it's so that I can
which is
connect with my daughters.
I don't have. I hope to never have that problem. Anyway,
they do not geek like I geek. So.
Well, no, your geek is different than their geek. Well, you have a common. You and your daughters have a common ground. Doesn't one of them love The Simpsons?
They both love The Simpsons.
So that's like a common. Well, that's like I said.
The Simpsons. I liked The Simpsons, but it ended up like TV in general and anything that was on regularly. I was out doing stuff. Mm-hmm. So I just...
Yeah, as you always say when we're out talking at the mic, you're like, I was out getting laid, sorry. Like, all right, Andy.
Well, that's why I wanted to make the whole thing, because I was writing down shit, and I'm like, man, I used to, like, bring Easy Cheese and Ritz crackers and, like, a cheap bottle of wine, like, over to a girl's house. And that was, like, my Netflix and chill.
You... hopeless romantic. You just get the little. What was the one with the
Easy Cheese?
Yeah,
with the little it's got.
Sometimes I get some Slim Jims and cut them up. Make a little sandwich.
Dude, I can't tell you like how much of a win that was.
That got you laid so much harder now, dude. I got to tell you, you got to like have a job.
I don't know. It seems like you guys all have it a lot easier than we did, because like.
I mean, I don't know.
Because we would have to actually meet the person, like having. Apps
I make a point about that. One of my bits.
Like that, like it's.
We're an app generation.
And listen, I'm not jealous or anything. I'm actually really happy. It's
so impersonal.
It's different like
is
that.
The problem, and I think I do better.
Well,
I'll do better. Like I'm not slaying, but like I do better I have a better shot in person. That's what it is. I have a better shot in person than I will ever having to text somebody, because I'll think too much about what I'm going to say.
Technology outstripped our culture's ability to adapt to it.
Okay.
So that's why you even feel that way. Because you were brought up in the you got to meet.
That's what I said. I told you. I woke up one day and then they're like the internet, and I'm like, what? They're like, here, the internet.
It's going to be.
It's got everything.
It's going to be interesting to see how the ones who are in school now, and like my daughters and whatnot, like what their shit's going to be like. I'm terrified of it because it's so foreign from what I went through, and that's, if anything, I have sympathy for younger generations and the shit that they have to go through, because it ain't what I had to go through.
Yeah, it's true. There's always something different. Maybe that's why I don't give a shit. Anyway, no.
Let's do some heroin.
Yeah, let's just do some heroin. No. Gen X for life. Anyway, no, but you are right about that shit, and I think it's like, I don't know, like every art. It reminds me of a Simpsons joke. Remember when Barney and Homer are like young, and then Grandpa comes in. He's like, "What are you listening to?" And he goes, "You wouldn't understand, old man." It's like, I used to know what it is, and then all of a sudden, whatever it was changed. Like, and that's what it is. Because I turn around, and you're just like, "What do you mean Stain's not popping the charts anymore?" Like,
There aren't charts.
Where's POD?
Wait, there aren't charts anymore?
There aren't charts? Where are all the CD stores?
Oh, dude.
I want to do a movie about a dude that just comes out of a capsule from like 1999. No, like 2000, and then wakes up in 2023. That's how much different things are.
There is a movie with Eric Roberts, Cheech Marin, the one who plays the love interest in Airplane, Julie Haggerty. There is a movie.
Good pull.
There's a movie with Eric Roberts and Cheech are the two main characters, and they get trapped in a time capsule, and they come out from the 60s, and they come out in the 80s.
Yeah.
So I've been wanting to make a remake of that forever.
I gotta check that out. What's it called?
Fuck.
It sounds. It sounds like it's hilariously racist.
It has some.
Yeah, of course it does.
But because it juxtapositions the hippie culture against the me, because the hippies turned into the me generation. Like that, the baby boomers, that was like, they just wanted to all get rich and whatever, and the world was their oyster and blah, blah, blah. So you have these hippies trying to reconcile with these like hedge fund managers that their hippie friends became.
Yeah.
But they only knew them as hippies.
Yeah.
So I think that fish out of water and where people have come from, I think it's a good reality check to have every now and then. Like to have somebody who fell into and I mean, it's the idea for Futurama.
Yeah, you
fall into some sort of cryo freeze in 1991, and you come out now, and you have to
assimilate,
understand.
Yeah.
I've wanted to do a thing where I write a set that would have killed in 1991, and get up and perform it.
Have you ever seen sets from 1991?
No, I know, but like it's all.
No, I'm saying like you should, because it's all. It's just like it's all like, dude. I was watching. I think this was the 80s, or it was like the late 80s. But there was somebody talking about Bernie Goetz.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't know who Bernie Goetz is, he was like a dude who pushed people on the subway, right? And he was like the vigilante, subway vigilante, right?
He shot 3 black.
Yeah, that's what he called himself, the subway vigilante.
Well, I think
he was a murderer.
The New York Post, I think, is the one called
that sounds about right.
Subway vigilante. And later on, like sometime in the mid '90s, I saw a CBS or NBC did it. Like, hey, where is Bernard Goetz? And he was like fucking training squirrels. Like he had these squirrels like crawling.
He's in jail? Didn't he kill people?
He did do some jail time, but I remember it was like real fucked up, like how the whole jail thing ended up happening with him. And anybody who's interested should actually Google it, because
it's weird
with the thing that happened with that Marine that killed the guy in the subway.
Did not hear about this.
Oh, it was like 6 months ago. It's huge. It's huge with like real right-wing people. Because the guy's a former Marine. This guy was having a psychotic episode on the, but he wasn't doing anything to anybody. But this guy who's a former Marine got to put him in a chokehold and killed him.
Ooh,
and
okay.
So now you have like different organizations, like 3 Village Dads, whatever. I'll name drop. I don't give a fuck. Who like
I listen to my podcast.
Like on my Facebook. Like I'm in that Facebook group, and they're like trying to raise money for that guy's legal defense fund, and it's like, well, he killed a mentally unstable person. Well, everybody was scared, but like they do interviews with like all the people who were in the subway car, and they're like, no, I mean, like he was freaking out, but it's New York. Like
I was gonna say, like
I didn't think he was.
I have seen crazy people on the he
wasn't gonna hit anybody. Like people who were there were like, I didn't think he was gonna hit anybody. I didn't think anybody was in danger. This guy just jumped up and put him in a chokehold and killed him, But because he's a former Marine and because it's a mentally unstable person, and I don't know. It's just,
I don't
it's
know.
sad. It's one of these
That's
just,
all
like,
I can ever take
sad
away from when I hear
fucking
stuff
things.
like that. I'm like, well, this sounds fucked up and awful.
Yeah.
All of it. Like,
Oh, and it totally is. But it's Bernard Getz. If you're interested in that, what happened with
Bernie
the
Getz, yeah,
look
yeah.
up Bernie Getz, and you
I think it was the 90s, late 90s.
80s. It was like the
late
it was
80s,
the
yeah.
early. I want to say it was 83, 84.
He was essentially a serial killer. Like,
Well,
wasn't
I don't know about serial killer. He just.
he pushed people.
And it's so funny because like Law and Order and like a lot of procedural dramas took that
Aspect.
and did a lot about him, or not him, but like a character like him.
Yeah, they do that a lot. Yeah.
So yeah, ripped from the headlines. But that's so yeah. Check Bernard Gets out, and then fucking Google Bernard Gets squirrels, and you'll probably
He trains squirrels.
it's like mind blowing. I remember like being like, this psychopath.
How do I get on Bernie? I just say one thing and you're like, oh, like you're like, I've read 7 books on Bernie Getz.
Well, no, again, like,
Also, here's this horrible story that happened 6 months. I'm like, Jesus
I always
Christ.
say like I always feel like I'm actually much more lucky that people tend to talk about things that I was interested in or heavily interested. There's so much I don't know.
But it's pretty broad in the stuff that you tend to be like, and you're always open to learning things.
Well, that's that. Well, and that's
So you're never like, it's not like I can't talk to you.
Well, I want to hear what everybody else has to say because I know I just told my daughters this. It's like everybody's going through the same shit, and if you can pick up something from somebody, like a strategy or a way of looking at something that's going to help you, you should do that. You shouldn't tell somebody they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You should stop and go, okay, what's this person saying? I should not immediately go, oh, that's not going to work. Because I'm a negative person, and that's usually my first.
Everybody technically is.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you don't want
Negativity is
your
also
world.
a lot of the crux of comedy too. So there's, the idea of saying something's dumb is funny because of these reasons.
Well, and that even goes to my least favorite insult for a comedian to say about another comedian. He's not even funny. You're like, dude. I've heard the person saying that to me will be like, I've heard you say comedy is subjective and fuck that crowd.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you, but that's I'm like, I have like a crusade against, like, if somebody says that, I'll be like, come on,
Be self-aware.
stop, don't say that.
Yeah.
If you don't like the guy, you don't like the guy because he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Him not being funny to you is the least relevant thing that you can say about that person.
I mean, it's like the easy go-to. It's like fuck you
It's such
to a comedian.
low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's just fuck
like-
you. Yeah.
Like, oh, it's not even funny. And if people really, and if they defend, no, but he's got this joke, it's like, all right, you know what? Never mind then, because you're very entrenched in how you feel about this person, and that helps you. I think being able to think of it that way and going, okay, this comedy's not for me. But let me listen to what they've done and try to understand why because there are going to be people, there's always somebody laughing. Why is this person laughing? And maybe I can like steal something from that. Not the joke, but like the vibe or like intonation or how they're talking about it. And maybe I can now apply that to one of my jokes. And holy shit, now I've done something to one of my jokes that has changed it, and wow, it got a really good reaction. Sometimes it gets not a great reaction, and you're like, yeah, I was right, I'm funnier than that guy. But
Sometimes, but like,
yeah, very rarely.
but no. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's if someone's genuinely not funny, it's usually a consensus among everybody that everybody
and
knows.
then it doesn't even usually have to be said though.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when we're talking,
and
about
also
some
it's
of
hard
those
to, especially if somebody's like 3 months in. It's I don't think anybody. You have to really suck. You just suck for a while. You just keep sucking, and you have I mean, even now, I'm like, I have moments, but I'm just like, you just keep sucking, and it's okay because like you're funny. We know that you're funny. We know you're a funny person. Whatever. You'll figure it out eventually.
well, that's why
Do you stick with it?
I really believe that the social aspect to a comedy scene is incredibly important.
I believe that too.
It's important for each of us individually, and it's important for comedy as a whole.
It's about
Do you get full of like some bullshit?
Probably 75% of the time.
But
you got to wade through that.
What's important out of it is way more important than how shitty the shitty stuff is. You know, like I mean, look, Freddie T is in the hospital right now.
Oh yeah, we love you, Freddie T.
Yeah. You know what?
Andy hates you, Freddie T.
No, I don't.
Andy's glad that you're hurt, Freddie T.
Here's the thing. I thought
Freddie T, by the way, is a comedian that we know, and he fell off the side of a mountain.
Something like that.
And he broke his leg where the bone came out. And,
Yeah.
the foot was hanging the wrong
I
way.
didn't want to look at the pictures.
I saw it. It was pretty fucked up. Can we get him? We'll get him. I'll have him on. We'll have him on the show. He's going to walk me through what happened.
And he's such a fucking hilarious, lovely individual.
He comes to the mic all the time. He's a nice guy.
But I thought he had my lighter. My Nailed It lighter. I actually just found it when I cleaned out my truck.
And you were like, hey, man, I know you're in the hospital right now, but I think you have my fucking lighter.
I did. I said it.
Hey,
Chris, I said it. I was like, listen, I know everybody's real sad about Freddie and everything, but I think that motherfucker has my lighter, so if I don't get it back, I hope he dies.
Hope you have to take that fucking leg. Let me tell you.
If I get my lighter back, sure, I hope he gets better. But,
That's funny as shit.
so I have an apology to issue.
Camera's right there.
Yeah, Freddie. My bad, dude.
All right.
But he wasn't even there.
That's a great apology.
You know what? Who was it? I was talking to Ellison, and we were like...
Mike
dude,
Ellison.
Yes, Mike
Sorry,
Ellison.
I have to clarify things
And
for
we
people.
were like, Mike's like, dude, I wish we'd filmed everything, that whole mic that night, especially the part where we were like, Fred is dead.
Fred is dead. Yeah, I walked up and it was like, did you hear what happened to Freddie T? I'm like, he died, right? I heard he died. Like, it's just like, that's what happened, right?
And see, that's what I'm saying. The social end of things is so important because I found my tribe. I know you've found your tribe. Like these are the people that we were meant to be around. Like we were all meant to know each other.
Yeah.
Because this is the most comfortable I've ever felt as a human being is when I'm around the other comedians of the Long Island comedy scene specifically, but comedians in general. Because anything I think of, not so bad. Like, there's things that, like, my mother would hit me for, or people, oh, you can't say that.
If there's one thing that we get complimented about, it's how great the podcast looks. I don't do any of that. Chris does. He's the guy you usually hear laughing in the background of most of the episodes. I'm sure you're wondering, why don't you have a microphone for him? We don't have a microphone for him because we can't afford it. But the least we can do is get you links to the gear that we do use, and it'll help support the channel. We do get a little bump from that, I think. I don't know how any of this works. I really don't even know how to read, like, the lines. Like, right now I'm doing a terrible job of it. Like, I could say anything right now. Like, I have 4 nipples, and it's fine. We're going to keep it in. But anyway, click the link below, and you get some of that cool gear that we use to make your podcast look just as good, maybe better than ours, all right?
Yeah, I think I've just been sinking into the couch. This is a really comfortable fucking couch. I'm not going to lie.
Andy's sitting there like...
what you told me...
Wait, hold on. Let me do this for editing purposes right now. Are we good, Chris? Yeah, we're good. All right, we're back. We fixed Andy's mic.
So the first time I did it here, because I did the pod over at the other place when Chris first moved in here, you had told me I was the first one to like be leaning back.
Yeah, you were the first. Everybody sits forward before you came in.
Like,
and then I guess they watched your episode and they're like, look at Andy relaxing. I'm like, you're the only one that comes in and like, oh, yeah.
dude, this is a comfortable couch. I'm fantasizing about sleeping on this.
I've taken a nap on that couch before. It's very nice.
This feels like this is a good napping couch.
It is, yeah. Yeah,
but I
some stains on it, but that's fine.
I love our scene. I particularly love Suffolk because I don't get to Nassau as much. And Nassau mics are for queefs.
I'm not saying there's a war, but there's a war.
Well, we were talking about it last night, how Christian Hahn's trying to get rid of his mic, and so...
We mean get rid of it. He's just trying to... Somebody take this mic,
pass
please.
Pass it off to somebody else. And Billy's like...
sucks.
And I said to Billy, I'm like, oh, is that why it fell apart? Like, because we were going to do a big roast battle with them, and like we were going to do like this fake fight.
I just don't think Christian wants to do mics anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or just doesn't want to do that mic.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's what it is.
Which, we both have conversations with Bill about doing the Monday mic, and, he gets... He treats it very seriously.
Yeah.
And so it is wearing. It wears on him. Like,
it's a lot, man.
It would happen to anybody.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But even for him, he cares about it even more than I think I would care about doing a mic.
Oh, okay.
And there is pressure. We've talked about it before, that there's pressure about showing up with new jokes every week.
For all of us. Well, it's also one of the things where it's like so hard to judge people if they're funny or not, what you see on a mic.
Yes.
Because it's like that whole thing when like Louis C.K. they filmed him. He had a joke about like the Parkland shooting or something like that, but it was like something he had just written.
And that was at Governor's.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And somebody had recorded it, and it leaked out, and you could tell anybody, especially now too. I watched that, and I'm like, that's a scattering of ideas,
Right.
and he was just seeing what worked, and you can't. It's like if you order a suit, and then you walk in like in the middle of it being made and say, this sucks, this is terrible. It's like, yeah, it's not done yet.
Right.
Yeah, you can't, it's missing pant legs.
And even, I mean, there's a lot of stuff because I was talking about, and even to Chris before you had gotten here, about how a joke develops.
Yeah.
And it took, like my 7-Eleven song, it took 2 years, or maybe 2.5
Yeah, shelve shit sometimes is what I'm learning right now, is that like sometimes yes, you have to do it. You have to obviously get up and do it as much as you can. But there's a time where you're like, maybe I got to put this over here for a little bit, for like 2 months. And then all of a sudden, when you're not thinking about it, all of a sudden a punchline or a setup or a tag will come out of nowhere. And
or another joke that you're like, I can pair this with that.
This
joke
makes this
now.
better.
Yeah. And now I have a bit. It's not just a joke.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a bit to be done here.
Yeah, exactly.
And people put a lot of it does suck to I feel so bad when people, and because I went through it too, of you only have like a certain amount of jokes written.
Yeah.
And you go up and every mic you're doing the same jokes.
Yeah.
Like when you start out, that's a thing. And
it is now too.
It can be. But I think
depending on what you're working on.
I've learned how to use the mics better for myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, there was a certain point where I said, all right, I'm so done with doing my set on a mic.
Yeah.
That I am going to do all new it's only going to be new jokes. I don't care how good they are or whatever. And all the bits, like when I do the and I haven't done it in a while, the woke dice clay.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I've never done that in a show.
No, you haven't.
Like, because I'm like, I don't know if
might be too niche, is what you said to me one time.
Yeah, but I don't.
I love that. But I also love Andrew Dice Clay, so
right, and it's fun.
I understand the reference.
It's fun, but it also is where I got my updating the nursery rhymes.
Yes,
which is a song now. Also, that took like a year. Like there's the people who are just starting out, younger in comedy, And even some people who've been doing comedy for a while, I feel like they get stuck in this rut.
There's some I've heard. What do you mean, rut in what sense?
In that you're...
Just so I understand how I'm going to answer this. Because I think what I'm going to say.
Because I think a lot of people will say, I don't do mics anymore. Or
okay.
I was going
Some people don't do mics.
And that's cool and everything.
Yeah.
But I don't... Like, if they're only getting booked on the same shows I'm getting booked on, like, dude, you don't have enough material. Like none of us, I feel I don't know if I'm ever going to feel like I have enough material.
I don't feel like I have enough material now. Yeah,
because like all told, if I were to do everything I've ever performed in a show, I probably could do 45 minutes. But that's remembering everything that I've.
Yeah, if I had, I've said to myself before, if I had to remember every little thing I've written and performed and gotten maybe a laugh on, I probably could do at least 30. Maybe that's not true. Probably more like 20 and maybe stretch into 25.
Well, I would say you're much like me. That 45, but see, here's the thing about the 45. It ain't a headlining 45.
No, it's not. It's not.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like, you got to do this because of reasons. Like, and I'm like, okay.
Well, that's why I say it's the hypothetical of putting everything together. But I think what happens to people is they get disillusioned. They get an act together, 5-7 minutes. They do it. They get good laughs and everything, and then
That's it.
yeah,
That's it. That's all there is to it. And I hate this shit when it's like an act is a literal act. Like it's like, and I'm like, listen, I understand that there's different levels to performance. I understand that,
Right?
but like, there's just a point where I'm like, it's the same thing every time. There's nothing ever new, and it's like you haven't even attempted to write a new joke. You wrote this 10 minutes. Or this 15 minutes, and you haven't tweaked it, you haven't changed it, and it's not even what I would call like amazing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not bad. It works when people haven't seen it. What's the Daffy Duck joke? I can only do this one time.
It blows himself up.
It's true. Like
Yeah.
once it's one of those acts that when you see it, you're like, it's funny, and then when you see it again, you're like, this is this exact. I know this exact same
Right.
thing. It's like the laughs are gonna deteriorate. And eventually, most people are going to see it.
Well, even as a performer, and I know you know this from acting, like the battle is selling it every time, being in the moment every time, and so you're not.
Well, I think in stand up, it's commitment to the bit.
Right.
Commit to the bit, even if you're sucking wind, blowing ass, eating so many dicks that they're coming out your ass. You know, just finish the
And
joke.
if you're into that,
Yeah, if you finish the joke, because it will make you better in whatever little way, but it will make you better if you can't like derail. And I think I learned that from theater because you had to like you're even if the audience is not responding, you've been paid money. You got to sit and do you got to do the show.
but this is why. This is why you need to do mics and shitty bar shows, and everybody complains about bringers and. Great, like if you can,
Rightfully so, to
if
an
you
extent.
and yes, but if you can get good enough that you're not having to bring, but you're on a bringer show, and so it's not the greatest quality all the way from top to bottom, and there's a ton of comics. This is the time to like challenge yourself to because I actually eat it up. I see that like things are going down, and I'm like, dude, I'm about to blow the fucking top off. Not that I'm that high energy, I'm not. But I'm a higher energy usually than what has happened up until that point in that show.
Yeah, exactly.
And so but it's a challenge. It's like I have to be up because I know my jokes are funny. And the only way that they're going to think they're funny is if I've got that persona going, that the me.
Well, you have to believe in your own shit too.
Right.
I mean, you have to. You have to be like, okay, like don't go up there and,
Right.
As self-deprecating as I can be, I'd like to think that I can write a joke or two.
But I think energy, like learning to fight through it, is the skill that
It's
you need
that
to learn.
weird. Because what happens is if I don't like giving too much energy and it's just not working, because then that feels worse. So I sometimes, and I think you've probably seen me do this before, I find that middle ground that works where it's like up and down.
Well, that's
more
what
like,
I'm saying.
Yeah,
You need to find the spot where that's the performance level.
yeah.
That it doesn't matter how
You can't just
feel.
scream through your set.
It doesn't matter. Don't scream. Like you have to get to this energy level for you that sells your jokes. It does not matter what's happening with the crowd. It does not happen what's happening with the show. That you go in and it's a consistency thing. You go in and you just are able to deliver it. Maybe, you're going to fuck up. It's going to be a little different. Oh, I had an extra syllable in there and it fucked up the punchline. Because when I said the punchline, everybody was thinking about the when I did that.
The stutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've seen people on a high level do that shit.
right.
And here's the thing. What people don't realize is they watch stand-up specials and all this stuff, and they have no idea the polish that goes into just that hour. So they think that a lot of these comedians never fuck up.
To give you to give an example,
Chris Rock did it on his live thing. I saw him do it on his live show.
I remember
he
you
fucked up.
said you pointed
and he
it
fixed
out,
it.
yeah.
But he did it. I'm like, I'm not shitting on Chris Rock for that. I'm just
Right.
saying, look at that. Like,
Well, so I was at a show. It was at a bar. Both Rob White and Billy were on the show. And one of the other comics came to sit with me. And she kind of ate a dick when she was up there. And they're up there and she's like, oh, they're getting laughs. And I tried to say it the nicest way possible of like, listen, these guys train hard for this. for comedy in general. They're doing mics constantly. They are doing shitty shows constantly, so that when they are in a situation like this, where the crowd maybe isn't 100% on board, they're able to sell their act.
True.
And it's, I think I'm a big proponent of mics. I know that, I mean, Fat Jay is the greatest example of somebody who just absolutely refuses to go to a mic.
Well, that makes it sound like that we try to make him go. He just doesn't do mics.
No, but the conversation comes up where he's like, I ain't doing no fucking open mic.
Yeah.
I ain't going to no fucking open mic.
Fat Jay.
But Jay, I host a open mic.
That's a really good Steve Rocco Perillo.
Thank you, Joe.
Anyway.
I like doing the local guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's a joke. Anybody outside the state not going to know. Outside the county.
But Jay will say, like, he doesn't want to do because he doesn't want.
But there's people I think that are really. I mean, Jay is very funny though.
Yeah, but like, and I haven't seen him eat a dick, though. He's told me different times that he's eaten a dick.
Yeah, he's told me too.
At certain shows.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen it, and I wonder. I would love to see it. The last time
to see him fail.
I would love to see him fail to see if something like, if my theory of like going to mics and doing.
I think it's different for the performer.
And definitely, you know, there is.
There are people who have like a real knack for writing,
right?
And they're able to figure out the performance stuff because, like, what they'll do is they'll tend to use the shitty shows, like the shitty bar shows, as like a Mike-esque thing.
Right.
Where they'll do, like, if they're doing 7 or 5, they'll do like 3 minutes of new material and do a couple of things that they. And there's quite a couple comedians I know that do that are, and you know them too, that are pretty funny.
Oh well,
I think Dan LaRocca does that actually. I don't think Dan goes to mics.
I was gonna say a thing about well, yeah, because yes, he's a disciple. So the
I love how you did this. He's a disciple.
But I was gonna bring up that, like, remember the time both Tony Landolfi and Chris Roach were at the mic, and they both went up and did stuff, and I felt like, because we were talking about Tony earlier and how amazing he is.
Yeah, yeah.
But you could see how uncomfortable he was that he was at a mic.
Yeah.
Whereas but then you look at Chris Roach, who keeps himself regularly going to the mics.
Yeah, not that Tony's a bad comedian.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Is like, we're talking about great comedians.
Yeah, yeah.
But then how they are coming to the mic. So somebody like Tony, he's not the mic's not going to do. If anything, he forced himself.
Yeah, just to go out of the house.
To go, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it was fun. The shit he did was funny.
Yeah, of course it is.
And that's not the point. The point was he looked uncomfortable.
Okay.
Getting up in front of a bunch of stupid fucking open micing comedians.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's not a show or anything like that.
It's rehearsal.
Right. And he still had great jokes and everything. It's just that initial, when he first got up there, it's just be like, all right, what are you going to do with you guys? Kind of thing.
Yeah, usually there's a whole routine. He goes in there.
And he only ended up doing like 2 or 3 minutes because he only had that one joke he wanted to do.
Yeah, which is fine if you have one joke, for the record.
But then you have somebody like Roach who's going there and taking out like
a notebook from like 10 years ago.
2015. Yeah. And being like, and going through and being like, all right, I was looking through this and like trying to get it to work. And he's mad comfortable.
You can tell that that's a dude that went to a lot of mics.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like, and I think like spiritual, like in my style of being a comedian, I very much identify with Chris Roach in that way.
Yeah, I understand.
That I'm like, yes, like this is because that's how I want to feel. I want to be able to walk into any mic at any point of me doing comedy and be able to be comfortable and be focused on what I'm working on. You know?
Yeah.
So.
An atmosphere that you can flourish in.
Exactly.
I understand.
I'm like, I'm a pretty little flower.
That was really nice of you to talk for 15 minutes straight. Usually I do that.
Well, that was the challenge.
I know.
I'm going to get $20 from
I was like, let's see how long
this.
he can go now. No, I see what you're saying, though. I see what you're saying with that chalkboard of explanation behind you.
So you guys can't see the whiteboard.
You can't see what I've doing before. But I see what you're talking about and everything. Wow, this is great. You ate up all the time. I didn't have to talk about the anal stuff that I was going to bring up.
No, that'll be for after.
It'll be for after. Do you have anything you want to plug, sir?
Well, I mean, the only show I have right now is August 12th.
Usually we do this at the beginning, but I fucked up.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
August 12th, I'm hosting at Farrell's. Billy's headlining.
Oh, Farrell. Oh, isn't our friend Mike on that? Isn't Mike Fails on that?
Yes, Fails is featuring.
Yay.
Sweet.
I will be down there at that.
Sweet.
I am doing a few different shows, but only...
Well, every Friday I am on the Knock 'em Dead podcast.
Oh, yeah.
On
Knock 'em
Govs.
Dead podcast, Govs Radio on YouTube, yeah?
YouTube, yep.
I will be at Sticks and Stones Comedy Club August 15th. I'm hosting rather for Liz. I don't want to say her last name wrong.
Mesquite?
Mealy?
Oh, Mealy?
Liz
Mealy?
Mealy. Yes.
Oh, yeah, she's funny.
Yes, I know. I've seen her before. Very funny. I'm hosting for her. It's going to be a great show. There's 2 shows that day at Sticks and Stones. There's one at 7 and I believe one at 9. 9. So one at 7, one at 9. Bring a bunch of friends. Come to the late show. Come to the early show. Come to both. Who gives a shit? It's great.
Don't wear panties.
Don't wear panties. What? But come on down. It's going to be great. And then after that, I'm going to be with Terry McNeely Friday, September 15th. Terry McNeely's Laughs in the Giggle Room. It's going to be great. It's got Billy on it, Travis Grant, Hugh Murray. It's going to be a lot of funny people on it. Come down and hang out. $22. 2 at a minimum, as we like to say.
2 at a minimum.
It's on the poster. But come on down September 15th. Those are 2 big shows I have coming up right now. Andy, thanks for coming down and just bullshitting with me. I didn't really have a plan for today. And luckily
That's,
you are always a lot of stuff to talk
having
about.
A conversation with you.
I was going to bring up American Gladiators. I'll save that for next time.
I'm actually more happy to be able to see Chris because I don't always get to see him at the mic.
I know. Chris has been busy. He's starting a new job soon, and he's trying to get on his fucking wacky. He's got a new sleep schedule he's got to get to, and it's
well, I was explaining my bartending days, like how it just.
Yeah, so
the world is not set up for people who work at night.
Oh,
so.
No, I did it for a long time. So, but we love him, and I can't do the show without him. And I'll say that live on the air because he's the best. So, all right. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, everybody that's listening this far, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends to like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for all the views, actually. A lot of the reels, especially I've been putting out, have been doing really well, and fucking thank you for that, because I'm just a dude who likes to get high and have stupid conversations with my friends, so I appreciate you guys listening to that. I didn't know that many people...
Thank you for characterizing our conversation as stupid.
Yes, we have stupid conversations. No, you can learn a lot from you can learn a lot from this. But thanks. The views have been great. Please keep it coming, guys. I'm going to put out more stuff, and we're going to have a special debut of a show in a couple months, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Okay?
Sweet.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you later. Whee!
The Millennial Stoner outro song. Yeah, pack a bowl and sing along. Blah, la, blah, la, blah, la, 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 la. Ba, ba, blue sheep, ba, 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 ba. This is the favorite podcast of the Dalai Lama.